Ethan's heart skipped a beat. A safe deposit box? That meant there was more, maybe even something bigger. He thanked the man, left quickly, and spent the rest of the day searching online for banks that still used old-style boxes. There were only a few. One of them was Riverside Bank, about 20 minutes away from his work. The next day, during his lunch break, Ethan decided to take a chance. He went into Riverside Bank, walked up to the clerk, and asked if they still had deposit boxes that used small brass keys. The woman behind the counter looked confused but checked the system. Then she said, "Yes, we have a few of those, mostly legacy boxes. Do you have one in your name?" Ethan hesitated. "I found this key. I'm not sure what it belongs to." The woman's face changed. She said she couldn't disclose information without ownership proof, but she called her manager. The manager, an older man named Mr. Grant, came over and looked at the key carefully. He smiled faintly and said, "This is one of ours, box number 117, but that box was closed 20 years ago. The owner never came back." Ethan's curiosity now burned like fire. Mr. Grant looked at him and said softly, "If you're willing, I can open it in your presence. Maybe we'll find something that explains this." Inside the private vault room, Mr. Grant inserted the key and turned it. The box opened with a creak. Inside was an envelope sealed with wax. On top of it was a small note. It read, "To the one who found the wallet, your test begins here." Mr. Grant looked puzzled. Ethan slowly opened the envelope. Inside were several documents, a map, and a bank check. The check was dated from the year 2002, written for $1 million, and signed by someone named Richard Bennett. Mr. Grant gasped. "Richard Bennett. That name sounds familiar," he said. He quickly checked the bank's old client records. After a few minutes, he looked up and said he was a philanthropist, a millionaire who gave away most of his fortune anonymously before he passed away. Ethan was stunned. "You mean this wallet belonged to him?" Mr. Grant nodded. "Possibly. It looks like he left a final gift for someone, or maybe for anyone brave enough to follow the clues." Ethan didn't know what to say. He asked, "Can this check still be cashed?" Mr. Grant smiled faintly. "No, it's too old. But maybe the meaning isn't in the money." Over the next few days, Ethan couldn't stop thinking about the map from the envelope. It showed a location outside the city, an old farmhouse near a forest line, marked with a red circle. One Sunday morning, curiosity finally won. He packed a small bag, took a bus, and then walked 3 miles down a dirt road until he reached the spot. The farmhouse was abandoned but still standing. Inside, everything was covered in dust. The wooden floor creaked under his shoes. On one of the walls, he saw a faded quote written in chalk. "We measure wealth not by what we keep, but by what we give." He walked further in and found a small locked chest under a broken table. The brass key from the wallet fit perfectly. Inside the chest were old photographs, letters, and a small notebook. The notebook belonged to Richard Bennett himself. It told the story of how he lost everything in the stock market crash of 2001 and how he decided to give away whatever was left of his fortune to strangers, hoping it would find the right heart. On the last page, there was one more note. "If you found this, I trusted you with my last lesson. The money you hold was never a gift. It was a mirror. How you use it will decide who you really are." Ethan sat quietly for a long time, staring at those words. Then he walked outside, sat under a tree, and thought about his own life, his loneliness, his struggles, and his choices. For the first time, he realized that maybe life had given him not money, but purpose. Over the next few weeks, Ethan made a decision. He didn't keep the cash for himself. Instead, he used part of it to pay for meals for the homeless in his neighborhood. He funded repairs at a local orphanage and anonymously donated money to people who needed medical help. The strange thing was, the more he gave, the more peaceful he felt. It was like the money carried a hidden energy that only worked when shared. A month later, Ethan received an envelope in his mailbox. No name, no address. Inside was a small card that said, "You passed." Under it was a check, a real one worth $1 million, issued under a new foundation called the Bennett Legacy Trust. Ethan stared at it, completely speechless. There was no explanation, no contact number, just one final note attached. Now you know the value of what you give. Years later, Ethan became one of the city's most respected philanthropists. He started a small charity foundation that helped struggling workers and homeless families. He never told anyone how it started, or about the night he found the wallet in the rain. But every evening in his office, on the shelf above his desk, sat that same black leather wallet, old, faded, and empty, a reminder that the richest people are not those who keep the money, but those who learn to let it go.